Good afternoon on the Say When podcast. Today we have my baby boy here, Leslie Long.
Hello.
Say hello to everybody. So what's going on, champ?
Nothing much. I'm excited to do this. This is something really cool. I always listen to like podcasts, like going to work, because now it's like a 40-minute drive, and I have nothing better to do.
2 hours and 8 minutes one way here. Trust me, there's nothing better to do.
I couldn't do that. That's too much driving.
It is. I've been wanting to. I actually did want to talk about a couple things specific with you.
Yeah.
So give the people a little background about what you, since coming into adulthood, your journey. He just turned 21, everybody.
Yeah.
That was on our first episode of our podcast, his 21st birthday.
Yeah. Really, it was one of those things where it was like, I knew when I turned 18, I didn't want to be like very dependent on people. I never have.
No, I know.
So, and through the military, that was able to get me there faster.
Well, tell the people about how you found your way into the military.
Okay,
like
so
high school.
So through high school, I did ROTC, and I really enjoyed it. And I always wanted to join some sort of military branch. Originally, it was the Marines. I wanted to be infantryman in the Marines. But, I met a woman, my girlfriend, Mira Rayburn, and, she was just like, no, that's stupid. Because one, and it was really one of those things like, why?
Let's make it a note on the record. Your dad also told you the same thing?
Yeah. Well, everybody I told. Anybody I was like, hey, I want to join the Marine infantry. They're like, why? And I was like, well, it's just...
Because I want to be a bullet sponge.
Yeah. And it's one of those things like...
And you're way too intelligent to be a bullet sponge.
Yeah. It's like, I want to do that. It's like, no, that's not a good idea. And it's one of those things when you really sit down and think about it, unless that's what you plan on making like a career out of. Like, you don't plan on having to, civilian work, anything like that. You plan on doing the military. Like, that's just what you plan on doing.
Right.
Nothing outside of that. It makes sense because, that's where you'll have more opportunity to deploy, stuff like that. Well, it came in and it was like, okay, I do want to join, maybe not the Marines. I went and talked to a recruiter to see what, like, options were. And, I like working on cars. I like working on trucks. And I wanted to be a diesel mechanic. And I'd already talked to, like, Hines Community College for, like, their diesel program. But it was like 2 years. And Mira...
And at 18, who's got that kind of time?
Who's got that kind of time? It was just one of those things where it's like, hey, I can go to basic training in AITs in 91 Bravo, a wheeled vehicle mechanic, get just as in-depth training, because you're there every day.
Every day.
You don't go
all
home.
day.
Pretty much. You're there from like...
You live there, literally.
You wake up at 4 a.m., and from 4 a.m. to 9 p.m., that's all you do.
Right.
So
that's not, I mean, you're living it.
You live it, and it's just like you do that for 7 months, or you go to school for 2 years,
right,
and get in the same situation. So it's like I'll do this,
but you don't get the benefits.
You don't get any of the benefits, and the benefits
you owe money.
Yeah, I mean, people like having student loans. Always was like, I don't want to do that because you'll have people who come out of college to start work making, say, $50,000 a year, and that's on the high end, depending on what you go to college for, and you'll have $100,000 with student loans.
Yeah, I have a friend who had like over $120,000, and he's been graduated. Well, he graduated before me, so I've been graduated. How old am I? I've been graduated. This will be 14 years. No, 24 years. Excuse me, Jesus. So he's been graduated 26.
Yeah,
I think he finally got his student loans paid off like 6 years ago.
To me, that's
20-year payment.
That's wild. You're like starting off your journey into adulthood like crippled already.
Oh yeah,
because you already have crippling debt.
Oh yeah,
you're starting off in the hole. You have no. You're already there. You're going to spend the next 20 years, like you said, just working off a debt, and you're already by 40 by that time.
Yeah,
and you're just like, okay, now I have my debt paid off. Yeah. Well, what other debt are you going to accrue during that time?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, it's always going to stack.
Every life debt. House, cars, kids.
Yeah, because there's some debt you can't avoid. A house, you're not going to be able to avoid it.
For the most part. Unless you're born with...
unless you're just born into...
silver spoon in your mouth.
Unless you're just born into, just a fuck ton of money.
Yeah. Which we weren't.
No, it's one of those things. It's like, and the military gives you an opportunity for that, like, student loan repayment, the post 9/11 bill, the Montgomery GI Bill. I have $60,000 worth of student loan repayment. So if I ever do decide, hey, I want to go to school for something,
You're covered.
I'm covered.
Right.
Well, it's like Mira. Her stepdad, he's in the Navy. He's an E7, a chief. And he didn't use all of his GI Bill. You know?
Right.
And if as you re-enlist, they give you more. You know, they give you an enlistment bonus and more money to your GI Bill. Well, now they pass it to where you can pass it down to your next of kin. You can pass it down to your children and keep them out of debt. So, like, if I have kids, I can pass down my GI Bill, where by that time, if I re-enlist one or two more times, it could be up to $120,000, $180,000 worth of student loan repayment. And I mean,
That's pretty big.
That's an insane amount of money for, like,
Considering what is like Mississippi State is what, like $7,000 a semester.
Like $8,000 a semester.
Yeah.
And that's not including, like, because you can take loans out to, like, and that's just for the school. That's
Right,
not, like,
right, that's just
not extra money.
That's
We're
not
like
lunch, dorms.
dorms, because dorms are like $3,000 a semester. So
Yeah.
you're racking up, say, like, borderline $15,000 a semester.
Right.
You know, but the Army gives me the opportunity to do that. You know, insurance.
So that's a what? That's
everything
a
like that.
$60,000 education.
Yeah. And that's
nuts.
just if you go for the 4 years.
Right.
You know,
God forbid a master's program, PhD.
anything like that.
Yeah.
You're
It's-
screwed.
Yeah.
So, like, the Army, that's why, like, people ask me, like, hey, what should I join the Army? I'm like, or the military in general. I'm like, if you have the opportunity to, or it's something like you think you want to do it. Because the benefits, it starts you out on life up here instead of starting out yourself. Because they basically set you up somewhere where you know you're going to get money. You always know you're going to have a job. You know, you're always going to have some way to make money. Say you get laid off. Say I got laid off, right? I got fired and I couldn't find another job. I could sign up for a deployment.
Yep.
And I would have a way to make money during that time. So you always have a source of income. You'll always have insurance.
Yep.
You know, you won't have student
Not
loans.
only health insurance, car insurance.
Yeah, through USAA.
USAA.
And it's heavily discounted.
Oh yeah.
Like, a lot of people don't know this, like, through USAA. And this is, you can use this if you're military, if you have USAA.
You can give it to your family too.
Yeah. If you lose power.
Hint,
I think
hint.
if you lose.
Hint, hint.
Yeah. if you lose power for more than 5 hours, and you can send something to USAA and be like, hey, you know, I lost power, this, that, and the other. They'll send you a $500 stipend for food loss
Nice.
to replace all that.
I didn't know that about the USAA.
Yeah.
I've known about it.
I mean,
for years,
they'll
but-
send you money to your account for food loss during that time. But if you have the ability to join the military, and I know everybody's like, oh, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to get deployed. I don't want to do this, that, and the other. Yeah, it'll happen. It's like everybody's like, oh, if I'm not active duty, I won't deploy. That's false. The reserve has more opportunity to deploy than active duty because it's a lot easier to mobilize 60 people than 3,000.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's a lot easier. Or say an active duty unit is deploying, and they need more people. They'll pull a reserve unit to go with them. You know, there's a lot more opportunity in the military than without it. And yes, you might get deployed. It happens. It's just 9 months. You'll make it.
Yeah.
But it starts you out with a leg up.
It does. I didn't go. I should have, but I didn't have the mental fortitude. I guess I was way too wild and rambunctious.
It is very something that it's like.
The structure was I was anti-structure.
Yeah, it's something that you have to be like, yeah, because you don't have a choice. Once you sign the papers, that's it.
Sign your name on the line.
Yeah,
Your ass is mine.
They'll tell you that all the time. They're like, we didn't make you sign the paper.
That's right.
Nobody held you at gunpoint to sign the paper.
Nope.
You signed it. This is what it is.
100% voluntary.
And I think,
Unlike most armies of the world.
yeah, 100% voluntary.
Yep.
I mean, there's plenty of a bunch of armies around, like militaries around the required 2 years service for men.
Israel was required.
At least 2 years for
Yep.
every single able-bodied man.
Yep.
2 years.
No, Israel's women too.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
see, like, the fact that you have the opportunity to choose whether or not is wild. In
Yeah.
most places, they're like, hey, you have to serve.
You're
We're
a
not-
citizen. You have
it's
to
a
serve.
citizen. You have to serve.
Yep.
You know, and the fact that people have that opportunity is something that I think they don't really appreciate until it came to the point where it's like, hey,
Hey, where you guys at?
where are you guys at? It's time.
Hello?
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah.
Anybody here?
Everybody like appreciates the freedom until it's a situation where like you don't know what you have until it's gone.
That's right. You don't know what it takes to get it.
Yeah, you don't know like what goes on to achieve that level of freedom that you have.
That's right.
You know,
Takes a lot.
mm-hmm.
I was sacrificing a lot of people. Look at Arlington. Thousands of bodies buried there, and many that were never accounted for through the history of this country.
Oh yeah, it's
So, we make it to the military. Basic training. We were there for your graduation.
yeah.
It was a cold day before Thanksgiving Day.
It was cold the whole time.
The whole time.
If I could make a suggestion, when you go, don't go during the winter.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, it's so much better. It's cold. You're not sweating. No, you don't have to go during like the middle of summer.
Right.
But
go spring.
Go spring. Early spring.
Early fall.
But if you go during the winter, it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
Because you get issued cold weather gear. You're not gonna wear it. You just have it.
Right.
You know, like they'll give it to you, but you're not gonna use it.
Yeah.
You'll be in your summer uniform, staying out in the field, and it's not like the Air Force. The Air Force has tents, cots, and showers while you're out there. The Army, you dig a foxhole and sleep on the dirt in a sleeping bag,
Oh yeah.
and that's it. And you might sleep for those field training events an hour, maybe. It depends on what drill sergeant you have, because I think the most I slept during any of my FTXs was the forge. No, yeah, it was the forge, and I slept for an hour over a course of 3 days. That was it. But it's wild in those situations.
How about AIT? How was that?
AIT is
What does AIT stand for, first of all, for the people that don't know?
Advanced Individual Training.
Right.
That's where, like, so in the Marines and the Army, you're infantry first. Everybody goes to the same basic training no matter where your MOS is.
Right.
It doesn't matter. You could be in the Army band or the Marine band. You're still going to go to the same basic training as an infantryman or a combat engineer. It doesn't matter.
Right, because everybody needs the same basic
Everybody
training.
needs the same individual understanding. Because, like, infantry first. You're a soldier
They're
first.
basic duties of a soldier.
You're a soldier first.
Everybody needs.
Or you're a Marine first.
Right.
That's why the saying is, hey, infantry first.
Right.
Because that's if you're needed, even if you're like HR, which is like a 42 Alpha, you still know how to hold a weapon. You still know how to perform land nav, basic combat lifesaver, CLS stuff. Like, you still know how to do that.
Right.
But, AIT is where you should learn your job. Now, AIT, so much better. You have a room. Well, I had a room with 2 other dudes. 3 dudes sleeping in like a 1x1, like about the size of a normal bedroom. You have 3 beds.
It's like a 10 by 10 room.
Basically, it's not big, but just having that little extra freedom is you're sleeping in barracks with like 50 dudes. It's different.
Oh
And
yeah.
definitely takes like time getting used to it, because you do have more freedom. Like on the weekend, you don't leave post, you don't do all this other stuff, but you wake up at 8 o'clock, you go to force formation, then you get and do whatever you want on we were on Ordnance Island at Fort Lee, Virginia, now Fort Greg Adams. They changed a lot of them.
Let's not even talk about it.
But Fort Lee, Virginia, I was on Ordnance Island for 16 weeks. But on the weekends, you can pretty much do whatever, as long as you stay on Ordnance Island. So you could go to the Ordnance Gym, the gym in the barracks. You have places to go. You can play basketball out there.
Right, you're not buried in a foxhole.
Yeah, you're not buried in a foxhole. You're not constantly getting
in
yelled
the
at.
winter in your summer gear.
And I will say, some people, that's terrible for them. Some people can't handle that little bit of freedom.
Yeah.
Like, we had people who would because once you're there for like 5 weeks, you can take a Phase 5 test. Now, this allows you to leave Ordnance Island. You can go off post as long as you're back by a certain time that night. People can handle that. They go out, get drunk, come back, and they'll kick you out. You'll that's it.
Oh, yeah.
You've already failed your military career before you even got to your unit.
Yep.
And I mean, some people can't handle it, and it's one of those things where, like, you have
I
to.
think that's just true about human psychology, though.
Yeah.
It's like people who get locked up and then get turned loose. They just do something to get locked right back up.
Yeah, because like once you're there for so long, you get used to it.
Yep.
You have to have, at that point, it's not discipline because you're forced to have
You're
discipline.
conditioned.
Yeah. Because, like, when you're at basic training, you're disciplined because you're forced to have discipline. They will wake you up. They will get you where you need to be on time, doing whatever. But when you get to AIT, you have to have self-discipline to wake yourself up in the morning to get down there for PT, to go to formations, to be back on post. You know, they give you freedom to teach you self-discipline to send you out to your unit.
Now, how long after you got out of basic and AIT, how long was it before you were able to actually sleep in like normal person?
I would say about 6 months.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I was weird for like the first 6 months after getting out of AIT and basic. Because you could ask me, I was just weird. Everything was like, I kind of forgot how to function outside of that area.
Right.
Because, like,
'cause that's all you knew.
That's all you knew.
24/7.
You get conditioned to a point where, like, this is what I do.
Yep.
This is what I am. But then you get to a point where, like, nobody's waking you up in the morning. Nobody's telling you need to go do this. Nobody's telling you what to eat.
Nobody's telling you to get your rucksack on and go march 25 miles.
Yeah, you got to make your own decisions. So it's like it's a hard reset to get back into like civilian life after you've done that. So it's like I'd say for about like the first 6 months after coming back, I was just kind of
see. That's just basic and AIT. Imagine combat veterans.
Imagine like coming back.
That's why
from
they
combat.
never.
No, that's why most of them they'll say most combat veterans they'll talk about it like, oh, I hated it, this, that, and the other, but they don't leave.
No, they never leave.
Because that's all they know.
That's it. I got plenty of combat vet buddies.
They're like, I would say about 90% of them would say I would go back.
Oh, yeah.
If they could. Because most of them get out because of a related injury to combat.
Yeah. All the guys I know have.
They get medically discharged, and they're like, if I could go back, I would go back.
Yep. Everyone I know is 100% DAV.
Yeah. Because it's you get to a point where it's like, this is what I do. This is who I am. I want to do this, you know. And then when you take that away from them, the person that left isn't there anymore.
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It changes you.
Oh yeah.
But it's a hard point to be able to come back and change.
Yeah.
That's why most people can't.
Well, I'm sure you'll have more stories to come as you navigate your career with the military, which I know you're gonna resume and
yeah,
it'll continue to grow. So you came out of the military, then started working for a company.
Yeah, started working for a company that not the best. Well, I won't say at first.
At first, right?
It was great,
right?
You know, I was moving. I needed a job. I had the experience for the job. I got hired for the job for the amount I asked for, and they, you know, said, "Hey, we'll start you as soon as we can," you know, and it worked out perfectly because they started right after I moved. I used my enlistment bonus to get the apartment, all that stuff set up. So I had everything I needed, had a job lined up, and I'd say for about the first 4 months, everything was great. You know, I went to work, did my job, left, was performing well. Everything was great. Now, around December, well, let me back up. I was going to Hotel 8 school for the military.
And for those that don't know, what is Hotel 8 school?
So Hotel 8 school is where you go to, there's only 3 places you can go. You can go to somewhere in Wisconsin, Fort Lee, Virginia, or you can go to Fort Hood, Texas. They teach you how to drive the HEMTs, the wreckers, for basically vehicle recovery. If a vehicle goes down outside the wire, you go get it.
Right.
That's what they teach you. So that school is only 3 weeks compared to most training. It's only 3 weeks. I'll be back. You know, I was supposed to leave in March. And the military has a very bad habit of not being able to get you your stuff when you need it, your information. So it was coming. I was like, hey, I'm leaving in March. I don't know when. I don't know for like when I'll be back, when my planes leave, stuff like that. I didn't have any papers, no orders, nothing. Now,
you were just trying to be considerate.
I was just trying to be considerate because under federal law, they have something called advance notice. Advance notice is 24 hours before you leave. That's considered advance notice. You are protected under federal law for 24 hours notice.
That's all you got to give.
That's all you got to give.
That's all you're required.
That's all you're required. And it can be a formal email, informal, verbal. So if I just went up and said, hey, I'm leaving in March, that's all they needed.
Yep.
That is considered an informal verbal warning. That is advance notice. Now, when I would come back, I would have to give them papers, my orders.
Right.
Which
Proof that you
proof
were-
that I went was where I was.
Which is
Understandable.
acceptable.
So I told my first manager this. He was cool with it. He's like, okay. And he was like, just get me the information as you get it. If you have anything else, where you're going, dates, stuff like that. And I was like, okay. So fast forward to around December 6th. Get a new manager. We're good. For the first 2 weeks he's there. It's fine. And then we go on, the company shut down for Christmas from like the 20th, December 20th to January 2nd. Everything was good. I was still under the impression everything was smooth sailing. I get back. About a week after I'm back, something happened with my Nana. She had a heart attack, was in the hospital. I had to take off work for about 4 days. I left that Monday, didn't come back till the next Monday. I took Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off. So I come back, and after I came back, it just seemed he was annoyed, but rightfully so. You're somebody, because I'm the only one there that was doing what I was doing. But he didn't. He was just like, I'm glad you're back. So, time goes on, and he comes up to me because I'd already told him when he first came, like, hey, I told the last manager I'll tell you. I have a training in March. I have to go to hotel school. He's like, well, what other information do you have? I was like, that's all I got. I'm going to March. That's what they told me. I will tell you as I get it. Roll back around to January. Stuff's going on. He's getting on. He's just talking to me certain types of way. I don't say anything about it. I'm just like, okay. It's stressful. You're coming in as a new manager. Stuff. I could understand it. Well, we get to around February 4th. He comes up to me and is like, hey, you're leaving in March. I was like, yeah, I'm leaving in March. He's like, well, we get really busy in March. I'm like, yes, I'm aware. That's when, my job especially gets really busy. He's like, well, I need more information. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I don't have any more information. That's it. That's the long and short of it. I'm like, they haven't given me anything else, so I can't give you anything else. We go back and forth with it, and he was like, hey, have me the information by Friday. Basically, give me an ultimatum, like, have the information by Friday.
Or else.
Or else.
Yeah.
So I contact my motor sergeant, my first sergeant, even my company commander. Just, hey, I need information. My job wants the information. Nothing. They're like, hey, we don't have anything for you. We'll get it to you as soon as we get it, but we still have nothing. I'm like, okay, so that Thursday, before that Friday rolls around, Thursday, I'm talking to two of my coworkers, and I'm like, dude, this is ridiculous. I'm worried they're going to fire me if I don't get this information by Friday. I've already, I showed them where I texted my sergeants and all this. I'm like, I'm trying to get the information, just can't get it. Like, dang, man, they were like, dude, that sucks. I mean, they can't fire you because of this. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I'm scared they're going to try to, because that's kind of what it seemed when somebody says, hey, have it by Friday. It seems like, an ultimatum.
Oh, yeah.
Well, one of my other service managers overhears the conversation, comes out about 20 minutes later when I'm cleaning up my work area. We're about to leave, and she's like, hey, don't be talking to them about that. I'm like, what? About what? She was like, I know it's frustrating, but don't try to basically sow animosity amongst your coworkers. We're trying to build something, cohesive here, and if you start telling them that stuff, it doesn't look good on management, And she was basically telling me, the other manager's not angry. Nobody's looking to fire you. Nobody wants to get rid of you. It's just we want the information. And I was like, I understand that. Somebody's about to leave for an extended period of time. You want the information. And basically had assured me my job wasn't in jeopardy the day before. So that Friday rolls around. I go into work at 6 a.m. I get there, get my work area ready for the day. So at around 6:30, I walk into my boss's office like, hey, I tried. I texted my people, tried to get the information you needed, but I didn't get anything. He's like, okay. I leave his office. 20 minutes later, he calls me in there. He's like, yeah, today's going to be your last day. We're going to have to let you go. And I'm like, what? Why? And he's like, we're just going different directions. That it is what it is. We're going to have to let you go. I'm like, and I was like, hey, I need this job.
Yeah. That's a bullshit chicken shit reason anyway. It's not really, it doesn't really hold any weight.
No, because like what is a difference in paths mean to somebody? Like, am I doing something? He still, to this day, still don't have a reason other than you're on different paths.
Yeah, that's not a legitimate reason. Even in a right to work state,
Yeah.
you still have to have
You still have to have
a paper trail
of where, like,
where you were a bad employee.
Yeah.
I'm a former business owner here in
Yeah.
a right to work state. It's not that easy. And
So-
it was all triggered by you having to leave for training for the United States Army.
Yeah.
That was a triggering moment.
Yeah. And it was because, in the company I was performing very well. 100% is working with 100% efficiency. I was working at 102.9. I had got a raise that December for my performance.
I remember.
So I was doing well.
Yeah.
I'd never had any disciplinary actions, no verbal, formal, anything like that. Nothing. I had signed nothing to say I was doing poorly. I had just got a review that said I was doing great. So for this to happen, I was like, this is kind of out of nowhere. This seems like it's military related. It just from the broadest strokes of what you've explained to me, this seemed very military related.
Oh, absolutely.
And they were like, no, and I was basically just like, hey, I'll do better, whatever it is. I just need this job.
Yeah.
Because I'm living in an apartment. I have 2 dogs. I'm paying all
you
the
have
bills.
responsibilities.
I have responsibilities, and I need a job.
Right.
Didn't matter to them. Didn't care.
No.
Fired me.
You were going to inconvenience them.
That's all it was. It was an inconvenience because they get busy around this time. They're like, we don't want to deal with that. I was like, all right, whatever. I leave. I get home. Tell my girlfriend, hey, I was fired today. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I was fired. They're like, why? I was like, I have no idea. So I call the GM, the general manager of the store. I'm like, hey, I was fired. Can you give me any insight to that? And basically it was like, well, if this manager says it was your time to go, it's your time to go, I don't know exactly what was going on. I wasn't aware you were, but like he made a decision. I'm going to stand by his decision. And I was like, it kind of seems military related because he didn't give me a reasoning. Can you give me a reasoning? Like, no. It's not military related. It's not military related. From what he told me, y'all had different views. I'm like, what does that mean? What was a reasoning? What does that mean to just say you have different views?
After your review was good,
everything checked out.
You say you were at 100%, but you were at 102.9.
Yeah, so I was overperforming.
So you were way overperforming.
Yeah.
But you were on different paths.
Different views.
What a bullshit answer.
Whatever that means. And I told him, I was like, hey, if I need to get in contact with someone in my unit so you can talk to them to try to like clear this up. And I guess when I told him I'll get you in, do I need to get in contact with someone in the military? Immediately he jumped to conclusions. He was like, are you threatening me with legal action? And I'm like, no, sir. I'm trying to get you more information because that's obviously what you want. This is what it seems like. He's like, well, you can't threaten me with legal action. I'm like, I'm not threatening you with legal action. She's like, because I don't handle this. All this is through the company. You'd have to sue the company. I'm like, nobody said anything about lawsuits.
Yet.
Yeah. And I was just like, nobody said anything about that. Well, that got me nowhere. I hung up the phone, called HR.
And HR is always a dead end, too.
It was.
They're just a bunch of schlubs.
I just got more of the same stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I feel like I was fired for military reasons. No, that wasn't it. Why was I fired? I have a 1,000-yard stare. It kind of seems like you were, they said you were fired because of this. Again, different views. I'm like, what does that mean?
Well, they're all a bunch of finger puppets.
They're just trying to get you to just basically shut up and be like, hey, it is what it is. You got fired. Deal with it.
HR is a horrible concept to most companies.
It doesn't work. Well, I'm like, all right, whatever. I need to find another job. I need to find another job because I still have bills.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I start looking for another job. And in the meantime, I contact ESGR, which is the military's version of like the Department of Labor. You call them if you think something egregious will happen at your workplace. Call them, tell them the story. They're like, yeah, it seems like you were fired unjustly. It seems like, people might have just got angry and didn't want you gone. Might have just fired you because of that. And, I talked to 2 of them. They were both like, yeah, you were fired. It seems like you were fired because of military reasons. They put me in contact with a mediator. Now, what a mediator is a person who they hear your side of the story. They call your workplace, talk to them about it. They basically giving your work an opportunity to give you your job back before legal action is taken.
Right.
Well, it usually takes about 7 days to mediate. I give him my side of the story. He calls them about 3 days later, calls HR. Now, HR didn't give him a reason as to why I was fired. He gave him the reason of attitude. Different views, and I had an attitude, and me and my boss just didn't get along. Me and my boss had never had any problems. I'd never been talked to about this. Nothing had ever happened in that situation. I was never brought to my attention. All right, whatever. Basically, they said they didn't want to move forward with trying to rehire me. And he's like, hey, you need to go to vets court. I was like, what? And he's like, you need to go to vets court. Now, what vets court is, basically it's involving the Department of Labor. Now you're going through a legal process.
Right.
To try to, it's no longer about getting your job back.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
It's going through the steps. You go to ESGR, you go to mediation, you go to vets. If vets courts can't solve it, then it's private attorney. So, it's just going through that whole process. And in this whole time, I'm trying to...
Is that private attorney provided to you by the military, or is that your own...
That would be me.
Okay.
Now, vets and all that's military provided. You don't have to pay anything for vets
Right.
court, which I'm going through the vets process now.
Right.
Now, if that fails, because you're still like trying to get them to like, hey, either a payout or offer your job back.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to get to. So you're going through the vets court, and after vets court fails, they're basically like, hey, you need to get a private attorney. If vets court fails, which is what I'm going through. I'm going through vets. But I mean, and this whole time I'm looking for a job.
Oh yeah.
And luckily enough, where I live, the Mississippi Delta has plenty of work, so I was able to get hired for a better job, making more money, working less, making more money, and getting paid weekly. So situation worked itself out, but we got there in the end. Now, here's what got me really angry. So I had worked a full 2 weeks and was expecting a final check. Now, I was fired on the 9th. I got my exit papers. They told me, once again, exit papers should have a reason as to why you're fired.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
They did not. All it had was, hey, do you want to continue your insurance? That was it.
Yeah.
That was all. Well, the insurance was like $600 a month if you wanted to continue. And I said no.
Right.
So, filled that out. And it was like, hey, your last check will be sent to you once you turn in your uniforms and send back the exit papers. My uniforms were turned in that Saturday. And my exit papers were turned in that following Monday. So the 12th. I got paid on the 1st and 15th. The 15th rolls around. No check.
Now, the 12th of January is when you turned it in, right?
Or the 12th of February.
Right.
The check was supposed to hit on the 15th.
Right.
They had said, no, we can't do direct deposit. We have to mail it. So I was like, okay, I can understand if it's a little late. You have to mail it for whatever reason. So they mail it. And they're going to like, oh, we have to mail it. I was like, all right. It doesn't show up on the 15th. I'm like, all right, whatever. It has to be mailed. It might take a little longer. Another week goes by. It doesn't get mailed. I'm like, all right, I need this check. This is like $1,500 to $2,000 just floating around somewhere.
Yeah.
Another week goes by. So we're 3 weeks from when I was fired. Still have not received a paycheck. I call HR or I email HR on the 1st. I'm like, hey, I still haven't received a check. They're like, what? I was like, yeah, I haven't received a check. They're like, well, it says it's been mailed. Let me get in contact, with the store you were working at and see if they've mailed it. Well, he sends me an email like 20 minutes later, like, hey, they've mailed it. It's been put in the mail. They've already mailed it. But let me confirm your address. I'm like, why do you need to confirm my address? That kind of seemed off to me because they've already mailed me stuff.
If they've already mailed it, they know your address.
They know my address. But I was like, all right, whatever. Maybe they deleted my information that quick. So I give him my address again. He's like, all right, well, we've already mailed it. If it doesn't show up in the next week, let us know and we'll resend it. Now, I got my check that Tuesday. The next day, my check was at my house. Now, when you send mail, they stamp it for the day they sent it out.
That's correct. It's called a postmark.
They postmark it for the day it was sent out.
Yep.
Now, I called him. It might have been the 29th. It was the Friday before that Monday. I emailed him that Friday. The actual envelope it was in was stamped marked for that Saturday. It had been mailed, put in the post office that Saturday. It showed up that Tuesday. So it was sitting at that store for 3 weeks, not mailed. Now, I'm like, okay, maybe they were just holding the check to send it on the 1st. They made the check out for the 1st, whatever. Well, the postage said March 2nd. Now, I open and look at the check. The check was written out for the 15th of February. So they just didn't send it.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
They were just fucking with
They
you.
were pretty much just fucking with me, holding it.
Yeah.
Until they were like, okay, he called. We have to send it now. And I still have like all that stuff. I sent it to the vets court. People are like, hey, they held my check. They held my check because the check's made out for the 15th. They had it on the 15th.
Right.
Because everybody else got paid on the 15th, just not me.
Right.
But they didn't send it till nearly a month later.
Yeah, they were just fucking with you.
Yeah, that's all it was. And that really like pissed me off. Because like, what if it was a situation where I needed that money?
Well, they don't care.
They don't care.
No.
They don't care. They're just like,
But it really does not bode well for them in their defense against firing someone for having military
No, it's like,
training.
why'd you hold his check for 3 weeks? What are they going to say? Oh, we just didn't see it.
Yeah.
It was just on my desk sitting, collecting dust.
Yeah.
Like, what's your argument there?
And they should be able to direct deposit it anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, I
I've
have
never heard of that.
the email where it says they mailed it. But
Yeah.
I have the contradictory stamp that said it wasn't mailed till after I'd already emailed them.
Right.
So, obviously, you lied.
Yeah,
just so I wouldn't get
every company I've ever left has direct deposited my last.
I've never had any problem.
Vacation, paycheck, everything they've owed me.
Because it's easier. They can send it basically that day.
They can, a click of a button.
Click a button, it's gone. You know, even if they waited till the 15th to send it out with everybody else's check, you have my information.
Yep.
You didn't just want a direct deposit? No, we're going to mail it. Made no sense.
Just to be dicks.
Just to be dicks.
That's it.
But, you know, I'm done with all that. Got everything taken care of. Stuff's doing what it needs to do. And I got a new job that I'm actually, you know, I enjoy. I'm getting to do more stuff.
Well, you get to get out.
I get to get out. You know, I get to work
What
outside.
is that, an F650 you drive or a 750?
750.
Oof.
That's my work truck. It's a F750.
It's a hoss.
It's massive.
It's got an onboard welder and air compressor.
Onboard welder, air compressor, generator, everything.
Nice.
You know, and I make more money. I get to actually get out. I get off at 4 every day. So I'm back. I'm at the house by 5. Really 4:40. You know. So I don't have to work Saturdays anymore. I get Saturday, Sunday off every week.
God, what is that like?
I know. Can't imagine
I
that.
haven't had the weekends off in 16 years.
I can't remember. It was always weird, like being home, because like you'd be off different weekdays.
Yeah.
Like it'd be like Monday, Tuesday, something weird, like Monday, Tuesday, or like Thursday, Friday. I remember we were up in Indiana. It would be weird because you'd be off like, what was it in Indiana? It was like Thursday, Friday.
Sunday, Monday. It was Sunday, Monday.
It was Sunday,
Indiana.
Monday.
Yeah.
So it was just weird, like you never having like a consistent off day.
No,
because you can never plan anything.
Yeah. Trying to change that.
Yeah, nothing could ever get planned just because it's like, hey, you're not going to be off till.
Only thing you can plan was your 3 weeks vacation.
Yeah, that's it.
3 weeks out of the 52-week year.
Yeah, that's all. That's all you have set.
That's it.
But like weekends, and sometimes you wouldn't even get weekends because you'd have to work.
Yeah.
You have to work like through the weekend because it's like so and so called out. I need you to work.
Yep.
And you know, it's wild that companies have that much of a foothold on people.
Well, I think in my industry, I think that foothold is starting to loosen because people, even in my generation, are basically tired of it.
And my thing is like, companies want to say people are hard to work with. This generation is harder to work with. Well, I feel like it's more the situation where like this generation is realizing you need me more than I need you.
Yeah, that's what it is. You know, this generation is, but you know, we came from the boomers who believed in working to provide for families. So you did whatever the company needed you to,
Yeah.
right? Well, your generation has figured out, if you don't have me to work, how are you going to make your profits?
You're not going to make money. Because now it's, hey, people want more money. Well, yeah, stuff's costing more. I want to make more money.
Yeah.
Well, people don't want to pay them that. They're like, and most people nowadays are like, all right, I'm not going to work for you.
Yeah.
They're like, what? Like, yeah, I quit.
Yeah.
You have to give it 2 weeks. No, I don't.
No, you don't.
I don't.
I won't be back tomorrow.
And I won't be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's like, would you give me? And my thing is, when people are like, oh, you need to work out of 2 weeks. I'm like, no, you don't. Would they give me a 2 week notice?
They're not
going to
give you a 2 week notice.
No,
they're
just
going
to fire you.
That's
so
what
I'm
I
not
tell
going to give them
people.
2 weeks when I quit.
That's it.
It's like taking PTO. I'm like, all right, you give me the PTO.
You earn the PTO.
I earn the PTO, but you're going to get mad when I take the PTO.
Right.
No, this isn't. If I give you PTO, I feel like if I give you a PTO request a month in advance, you can figure something out in a month.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Like,
if you can't, you are sorely mismanaged as a company.
it sounds like a you problem. if you can't figure out,
yeah, it's your problem, not mine.
if you can't figure out if one person can cripple your whole system, say for like 2 days, say I take a Thursday, Friday off, I'm gone for 4 days. If me being gone that Thursday, Friday is going to cripple your whole system, you're mismanaging something.
Absolutely.
There's no way one person being gone should make it to where you can't function.
Yep.
You know, don't offer the PTO if you don't want people to take it. Well, it's like it's crazy what companies can get away with now.
Well, it's because, like I said, it's my generation and prior that have never really bucked the system.
Yeah.
You know, we just kind of accepted it for what it was and just put up
even
with
if
it.
it sucked, just kind of be like, it is what it is.
And that's why, you know, like, I'm getting to the point finally where I'm tired of it, and it's like, damn. Figure something else out. This shit just ain't cutting it no more.
Well, it's because, like,
I spend 4 hours driving, 12 hours working, 5 days a week. That's 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
I give to my company.
Yeah. What time do you get for you or with your family? You don't get that.
I get 1 full day off a week.
Yeah, because, like, even if you get 2 days off, that first day off, you're sleeping.
That's it.
Because you've been up since...
I work nights.
Yeah, exactly. You've been up since 5 p.m. the day before. Even before that, probably closer to, like, 1 or 2.
Yeah, usually 2 p.m.
2 p.m., right? And you're working till 7 a.m., 8 a.m. the next day.
Yeah, I get
by the
home
time you get home.
I get home at 8, between 8 and 8:10 in the morning.
So you're home. So that next day, you're basically asleep all day.
Yep.
So you have 1 day.
One full day.
One full day to really do anything.
To
So it's like,
decompress.
Yeah, and it's like, no, you know what? You kind of realize, like, no, I don't want to work. I don't want to work all day. I don't want to work all these hours and get really nothing in return for it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I think people are realizing there's other jobs.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of
There's a
other jobs.
lot of jobs. And everyone's like, the job market now sucks. Yeah, but I feel like you need to realize there's jobs out there.
Well, it's like we got a bunch of people leaving our location, and they're going literally 2 miles up the street to a place that they work 4 on, 4 off,
Yeah.
and they make relatively the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Instead of working on call 24/7, not ever knowing when you're going to go to work.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I've got 16 years in the railroad, so I'm somewhat fully committed.
Yeah.
Even though like I said, my mind's changed about that. But these employees we have that have less than 10, especially all of them that are leaving and have less than 5,
Yeah.
they've got nothing to lose.
But yeah, it's
You know,
it's them choosing.
The railroad industry wants to dote on railroad retirement. Well, yeah, it's a lot better, right?
Yeah.
But working 80 hours a week, 5 days a week, am I going to make it to retirement?
That's my thing. Are you going to make it to, what is it, 65?
60 for the railroad, 30 and 60.
60 to the railroad, right? You got to work 30 years or,
30 years of service at 60 years old, and you can retire full railroad retirement.
So,
But if I don't make it,
what's the point?
what is the point?
Or you've worked so much, your body's just worn out by the time you get there. You can't enjoy it.
Can't enjoy
So
anything.
what's the point of trying to push yourself that hard?
Because
Because there's other ways to have a good retirement.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Roth IRAs.
Roth IRAs. I have my military paycheck gets stipend out for a savings account for when I retire.
Yep.
I think it's like 50% of it. 'Cause, I only make going to reserve. You only make like $300 a month.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to miss the money.
Right.
So why not just stipend it out?
Yep.
And that's where my check goes, like 50%. Say, but it's really like why? Why am I gonna basically kill myself to try to reach 60 when you probably won't working that much like you are? Because there's other ways to get there.
And that's why I'm trying to figure something else out.
Yeah, and it's now you're at the point where it's like, now that you're actually looking for something else, and just instead of having to be like, well, this is what it is. It is what it is. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not just one of those things like, I got to deal with it. No, you can figure something out.
Oh yeah, I'm going to.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
And even if it's not immediate, at least you're looking. You're never going to figure anything out if you're not trying to find something.
That's right.
But if you actually, even if it's a little bit every day, or a little research here and there, it's something.
Yep.
It'll eventually get you there, little by little.
Yep.
But it can get hard trying to do the same thing every day.
Oh, it's miserable. Fix have to leave now.
Yeah.
Go drive my 2 hours and 8
drive
minutes.
2 hours. Most of the day is wasted in the drive. 4 hours. of your
4
day
hours and 16 minutes.
is just wasted in driving.
If there's no inclement weather. Now, when
Yeah.
when they had the ice storm, I left work at 6 a.m., got home at 11:10 a.m.
Yeah.
It took me 5 hours to get home.
5 hours for a 2 hour drive.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was miserable.
Just as soon as you can like find something,
Oh, yeah.
at least just closer, even if it was like an hour closer, something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because 2 hours is
It's just-
ridiculous.
yeah, it is. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, I'm glad we could share your story.
Yeah.
And once this whole thing comes to pass, we'll reveal
Yeah.
the name
What-
of that company,
Yeah. The name of the company and
and
how
we'll boycott them.
how it ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are people I know that know this company,
Oh
and
yeah.
I've told them what happened, and they were already boycotting them.
Oh
So,
yeah. It's you hear about it. And it's like, all right.
yeah.
Nah.
It's just fucked up.
Yeah. Company says they're veteran friendly. Yeah. Companies can say they're veteran friendly, but it's a big difference between being veteran friendly, who are no longer in the military,
Right.
to being someone who's actively in the military who has military obligations.
Yeah.
Because we're veteran
Well,
friendly.
they have
we're
a
military
they
friendly.
have an obligation by federal law.
Oh yeah, it's like
So
what does it mean to be veteran friendly? You know, you're obligated to do it. You know what I mean? You don't have a choice.
yeah,
But when you say you're veteran friendly, it should be, hey, we're not gonna be assholes about you having to leave because we understand.
especially when they knew you were a reservist when they hired you.
When they hired me, because I told them, I made sure to tell them. I was like, hey,
yeah,
I have to go once a
and
month.
as an
2 weeks out of the
employer,
year.
you know, hey, this guy's in the reserves. He's got to go
He's got to leave.
when they tell him to.
It's not an option.
No.
I can't just be like, no, not this week. No, if they say, hey, you have to go, all right, I'll be there.
Yeah, you can't call out sick to the military.
And even if you do, say like a drill happens, you can't make it. God forbid something happens, you can't make it. You still have to make those days up.
That's right.
It's called RST.
Yep.
And you have to go in during the week. You know, if you don't go in the weekend, you have to go during the week.
Yep.
And you work at my unit. You work in the amnest shop, which is where we fix trucks. And you work there for however long that drill was. Say the drill was a 4-day drill. You're there for 4 days
Yep.
because you have to make the time up somewhere.
Yep.
Because you have to have a certain amount of active duty days for a drill.
Correct.
So time doesn't just disappear.
Yeah,
if
they
you
don't just
go.
forget about it.
Yeah, they don't just forget about it. The army's the military will get theirs somewhere.
Oh yeah,
It doesn't matter.
They're gonna get what's
They're
theirs.
they're gonna get what's theirs.
They're gonna get their pound of flesh.
Oh yeah, always.
Well, son, it was good talking to you. Glad we
Yes.
get this out there and let the people
You know.
meet you.
Mm-hmm.
Hear your
I
story.
enjoyed this. This
And
was.
we'll do this again.
Oh yeah, this was
We'll
enjoyable.
do like a bourbon review
yeah,
next
that'd
time.
Be nice. That'd be nice.
Maybe smoke.
I tried some of that Knob Creek.
Yeah.
It was good.
Maybe we'll do a little bourbon. Maybe a little cigar.
Yeah, that'd be good.
You're the aficionado in cigars. I don't know nothing about them. I just know how to
Yeah.
smoke them.
Yeah.
So we'll have to do that next time.
Alrighty.
All right, everybody. Have a good day.
Alrighty. Y'all have a good day.